See what they have to say.
We could analyze the desk, too. It's really nice.
Thank you, gentlemen. I mean, I have to echo their sentiments there, which is that we had much, much, much higher expectations of TSM coming into this tournament, and they just simply are not delivering.
Yeah, I especially had much higher expectations of TSM, apparently, because that wasn't a great showing. And a lot of it has to go, like, the obvious one is, like, throw Dyrus under the bus, but Turtle and Lustboy had a very poor showing in that game. Collectively, they were caught out in the jungle on the bottom side of the map specifically on 2-3 occasions. I understand that Lustboy was trying to save Santorin, who was also just doing his best, I'm going to call it his best wolf impersonation, and just roaming around the map randomly, but that was a very sloppy game.
Yeah, I feel like Santorin and Lustboy's synergy that game was really off. Santorin was walking up to lanterns that were about 5 feet away from him, or 5 Teemos away. He was body slamming into the lantern for the gank, and the gank was so telegraphed. When you throw a lantern behind you in the middle of the lane and then walk forward and flash forward, you know it's coming. Like, that was so predictable.
A curious thing about this game for me, as an avid Rek'Sai player, is the fact that they pick Rek'Sai so much. And why does Rek'Sai work against these tank junglers? Well, she has innate sustain from her passive, which Gragas does have that, but it's gated by mana. He has to chug abilities so that his passive goes off and he can heal himself. Rek'Sai does not. She just burrows back, no mana, can constantly be ganking, non-rely on any abilities, and she can clear faster than most junglers, allowing her to get there before anybody else with more creative paths. For instance, a Gragas can take the same routes that a Rek'Sai can, but he has to use the body slam, which is a main engage tool, so he has to take more conventional paths. You see Bengi ganking left, right, and center. He can gank whenever he wants. It's the strength of the champion, and it's played perfectly. And, you know, usually the games that he has on Rek'Sai that he runs away with it, the early games, it's a complete washout, and we saw that here.
Yeah, I think he did whatever he wanted in this game, and I think there were just a lot of executional mistakes. We see a top lane, Dyrus getting ganked early, what a great gank by Bengi, and also just getting baited in really, really hard, and that just snowballs over to the bottom side of the map. I think that Bjergsen actually did really well in the mid lane. In the after 6, he was like 15, 20 CS ahead, and then there was just a lot of questionable play from TSM.
Yeah, and I think that's twice that TSM's shown that if they get behind in the early game, they make questionable decisions. Because this is twice their stall has been completely fine. You're running... Alistair's a fantastic diver, so that is probably the one saving grace of SKT's comp, but they cannot siege. They have an Urgot, they have Cassiopeia, they have Gnar. And then everyone else is melee, so the Rek'Sai and the Alistair. So they can dive extremely well if they're ahead. But you have Gragas, you have Ziggs on the other side. They should have been able to stall that out if it was only Dyrus that fell behind. That's why I'm a little bit more upset with the bottom side of the map, because that game was salvageable until they started invading and doing really crazy things.
I want to jump in here real quick. We've thrown a decent amount of shade towards TSM for their performance so far. I do want to hop over to SKT because although, you know, they may not have been up against the best performance of TSM, they did play it well in that they camped that top lane on Dyrus and then they systematically dismantled all of TSM. I mean, their pressure played a big role in TSM making incorrect decisions.
My favorite part about the entire game, I'd have to say, is the draft where it began with the first pick Urgot and the Lulu ban. You know, SKT is known for playing a lot of Lulu, and so is TSM. And we were thinking to ourselves, oh, TSM has to ban Lulu. You can't give this champion away to Faker. What do? They ban it themselves. So when you think you have them figured out, nah, they just throw something else at you. But another interesting thing was that they locked in the Urgot first and then followed it up with the Rek'Sai Gnar. So triple physical composition already. That's a very obvious Urgot to the AD carry position. The only possible pick that you can make to have your team comp make any sense would be a Corki and an Annie, any magic damage. But TSM had locked in the Hecarim and the Gragas. Full on tech, you're going to get outscaled. I think TSM could have taken advantage of the situation, recognized it's 100% the Urgot going bottom lane, pick a stronger lane into the Urgot, and try to punish it a little bit more than what they did.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the only other thing you can point out is that they just rotate around the map much quicker than anyone. Like, their calls, especially into the top lane, like you saw Dyrus trying to dirty farm. It was a little bit over aggressive, but like straight away, as soon as they see it, they make 3 members automatically respond. As soon as TSM had maybe caught Faker out in the jungle, all of a sudden the Alistair's there, another 2 members are collapsing from the bottom. These guys are so on point with how they move around the map. And we touch on it a lot, but they always take the inside lane. Their vision is always set up that they are the ones that can safely move through every jungle path that they want to, and TSM always has to walk around the outside, meaning that either they cut through and get cut off like Turtle was, or everyone's just going to be too late.
Well, and there you have it. Those are our 8 games of the day. Let's take a quick look at the group stage standings. In first place after a perfect day 1 performance is the LCK's SK Telecom T1. Behind them in second is the LMS's AHQ Esports. Tied in the number 3 spot at 1-1 is China's Edward Gaming and Europe's Fnatic. And rounding out the table in 5th and 6th are the NALCS's Team Solo Mid and international wildcard Besiktas Esports Club. So, gentlemen, I mean, this was not what we had expected. If you had asked us to, detail what the standings at the end of the day would be, it wasn't this.
No, not at all. The fact that TSM came out with this type of performance is really a little disheartening, especially on home turf as well. That was something that I was not expecting. That's the biggest upset here today, at least for me. I didn't vote for him, though. So.
0-3 on the day. Mighty impressive there, Spawn.
It's really impressive to get them right, but to get them all wrong.
It's just as impressive, really.
The reverse prophet coming there.
I feel like that. I think AHQ had a really strong showing. I really like their team, the style that they are playing. They're playing really aggressive. We saw a lot of kills and we saw a lot of crisp executions in those skirmishes. And that was something, I was looking forward in the beginning of the day where I say I want to see those surprises. We saw Cassiopeia top lane counterpick. Those was also a really great surprise. And I think everybody is like stepping up their game in strategical play from the teams we didn't expect would perform so well.
What made me the happiest the entire day was that last game, the first minute, as a jungler, Bengi got a 4-man leash on red buff. Cassiopeia throws a Q out, Alistar helps it out, Urgot throws some more help. That's so nice. That's how he was able to get the gank on top. So guys, when you're playing solo queue, give your jungler a big fat leash.
Yeah, who would have guessed it? The 4 junglers on the desk are all very excited by that.
It throws off people's timers. They're like, he'll gank here at like 3 minutes, 10 seconds. It's like, no, he's three seconds early, and that actually really does affect things.
All right, well, that's our 8 games of today. We've got a bunch more games tomorrow. When we come back, the matches will be starting off with China's Edward Gaming versus Europe's Fnatic. After that, Team Solo Mid will battle AHQ, followed by Edward Gaming returning to the Rift against Besiktas Esports Club. And in Game 4, it's SK Telecom T1 versus Fnatic. Now, gentlemen, a lot of games on the docket for tomorrow. What are we looking forward to most?
TSM versus AHQ, because TSM has to win that game to make it out of the round robin and into the brackets. Because if they lose that one, the rest of the games that they have against EDG just don't even matter.
First game of the day, Fnatic EDG,
I chime in.
we can both be excited for it, but I mean, both of these teams had a great performance and then a disappointing one. So which of these teams is actually the good one and the bad one? Well, let's not say that these 2 teams are good or bad, but which one is better compared to the other?
I'm going full holo here. I believe in Huni. And I believe that, they have what it takes to beat EDG. They have a kind of similar style, so I also expect a lot of the skirmishes, and, that's just, my kind of team fight.
Yeah, I think when you put the first 2 games together, you get, like, the whole picture, and that's what we're looking for here. I think that we're in a position now where we can kind of piece together exactly how it's going to work out, but TSM really needs to bounce back. I'm actually looking forward to their game, because if they can't piece it together, then there's a lot of questions to ask about the NA scene right now.
Yep, I'm right there on that train with you guys. TSM versus AHQ tomorrow going to be very exciting with a lot on the line, so I expect them all to come out swinging. That does it for day 1 of the mid-season invitational. So for myself, the casters, and the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.
I just can't wait to kind of reevaluate